Hey everybody, movie reviewer next door here, and hopefully my microphone doesn't sound too bad. I've got it all the way up because it's being super sensitive today, but I'm back with the Bond films, and we've only got 5 left to go, including this one, so close to the end. Hope I don't go crazy watching the Craig films, but today we have Casino Royale. This film is from 2006, directed by Martin Campbell, and it stars Daniel Craig, Eva Green, Mads Mikkelsen, Judi Dench, Jeffrey Wright, and Giancarlo Giannini. Now, in this film, Le Chiffre, a banker to the world's terrorists, is scheduled to participate in a high-stakes poker game in Montenegro, where he intends to use his winnings to establish his financial grip on the terrorist market. M sends Bond on his maiden mission as a 00 agent to attend this game and prevent Le Chiffre from winning. With the help of Vesper Lynd and Felix Leiter, Bond enters the most important poker game in his already dangerous career. So, what did I think of Casino Royale? Well, if you've heard me go on about the Bond series, you know that I'm not the biggest fan of Craig's version of Bond. I don't hate this film. Giving it a second chance, I think it is a decent film. There are definitely things I think could be very much improved. Maybe some of them have to do with the book. I don't know how faithful this is to the book. But I do have some big issues with it at points. But first, let me get out with the whole. Well, I kind of want to say spoiler warning for this one too. So spoilers from here on. When I talk about the characters, there will be spoilers. So, in case you haven't seen the film, spoilers. Daniel Craig as James Bond, he is still my least favorite. I don't know what to tell people. I just don't think he fits the role very well. There are small moments in this film that I thought he was good in. There's 2 scenes that I mainly will bring up. The scene where he is being tortured. Well, I will get to my thoughts on a lot of the scenes in this movie. The torture scene, I think he acts out very well, and I like his lines. And the scene where Vesper dies. I think those are 2 scenes where he really does act well. But the rest of the movie, I think he is really bland, very boring, and they keep trying to pass him off as like, oh, super sexy or whatever, and I don't really buy that either. And yeah, I just don't like his interpretation of Bond. I don't. I think it's way too dark without any of the dry humor. This film gets so dry that it's like sandpaper. So, Eva Green as Vesper Lynd, I like her. I do. I like the character. I like that she's kind of got this rapport with Bond, and I think their rapport works. I don't know if I fully buy them getting together, but it makes more sense here than it does in Spectre, which, again, I've only seen Spectre once. I just remembered not buying the relationship at all. I buy it definitely more here. I don't buy this relationship as much as Bond falling in love with Tracy. For sure. I don't buy that at all. Because Tracy is definitely like a scarred person. She doesn't really enjoy being in the company of many men, and then Bond gives her a reason to live. With Vesper, I guess it's more so like abuse or something. It never really like clicked in my head, and the way that they get together is a bit random. in on Her Majesty's Secret Service, it made more sense when they got together because Bond got the information he wanted, but he still wanted to pursue Tracy. He wasn't just pursuing Tracy because of the father. So Tracy knew that he actually wanted to be with her. In this film, it's kind of like, oh, they have a rapport. She's like, oh, you're making me mad as hell, and then Bond fights some guys, and then she like accepts him, and they cry in the shower together, like, and then she's falling for him. Like, I don't really. They should have done that better. Mads Mikkelsen as Le Chiffre. I'm not big on this villain. I really am not. I haven't read the book, so I don't know if that's how it's played in the book, or how that's characters written in the book, but the whole him having people even higher than him that'll go after him thing, I don't think really works in this context. With something like The Punisher, where there are people above Howard Saint after him, it made more sense. It made him more of a full character. But in the Bond series, I don't think that works so well. I'm more into the megalomaniacal villains or the like down to earth villains, and this one just doesn't have a lot of much of an identity to him to make me really think, oh yeah, he's a threat. So yeah, I'm not big on him. Mads Mikkelsen plays him well though, I can say that. Judi Dench as M, she's not in the film too much. I think I'm not too keen on Judi Dench as M really, because she's kind of just the bossy one. M before had more of a rapport with Bond, and it felt like they're friends, but he wants to be like, okay, I'm above you, so I'm gonna tell you this bluntly. But there were times where you actually got the feeling that they were friends. With this Bond and M, with Daniel Craig and M, and Pierce Brosnan and M, I never really got it. So maybe that's just me. Jeffrey Wright as Felix Leiter, he plays the character fine. There's not a ton to his character really in this film, maybe in the next film. And Giancarlo Giannini as Rene Mathis, kind of a contact character, kind of like VJ was, and Luigi, and the one from View to a Kill, played by Patrick Macnee. Tibbet. Sir Godfrey Tibbet. But yeah, he's fine. The opening title sequence I really like, and I think it's definitely one of the better ones of the Craig era for sure, because I'm not big on a lot of them from what I've seen. From the ones I've seen, I've seen all of them. I'm not big on most of them. I like this one's simplicity, and I like the imagery of the cards, alluding to the card game later in the film. And I really love the song You Know My Name by Chris Cornell. He is one of my favorite singers of all time. And I hope that someday we will get the full truth about his death. Just putting that out there. But this film, Casino Royale. There are many times where this doesn't feel like a Bond film to me. What I mean by that is, it kind of feels like getting Martin Campbell, the director, who also did GoldenEye, which is my second favorite Bond film so far. And it's probably going to stay that way. I don't think any of these Craig films are going to impress me that much. This doesn't feel like a Martin Campbell film either. Because GoldenEye had the right amount of, it had the right amount of seriousness to quips, with the whole backstory of the Bond girl mixed in with the pretty over-the-top situations like the tank chase throughout the city. I think GoldenEye did a great job bridging the gap between the more serious Bond and the more, lighthearted Bond. I think that did a great job of that. This film feels like just it feels like a mixture of Bourne Identity And if anything, kind of a generic spy movie in some ways, because this film doesn't really have a lot of the things you expect in a Bond film. And I know there are some people that praise it for that, doing its own thing, but by doing its own thing, it also doesn't have much of an identity to me. It kind of feels it feels like a generic spy movie. You don't have Moneypenny. You don't have. I understand. This is the start of it. You don't have Moneypenny though. You don't have the gadgets. You don't have really a megalomaniacal villain or a down to earth villain. You kind of have something in between that's not really explained well enough. He's most of what you see about his plan is just, oh, he's on a boat and he's trying to pay back people through this card game. He doesn't really have a world domination plan or anything, or he doesn't have like a bigger plan. It kind of feels like there aren't that much of stakes because, oh, if Bond loses the money, they fund terrorism. It just doesn't feel like there's much of a motivation. Again, I don't think the film is bad. I don't. I think it's a decent film. But definitely having a not that strong villain and having parts of the film that kind of feel disjointed. I think my biggest issue is that people hold this film up as some kind of holy grail of the Bond series. There are people who say this is the best one. This is the highest rated one on Letterboxd. It has a 3.9. From Russia with Love has a 3.6. Dr. No has a 3.4. GoldenEye has a 3.5. I think GoldenEye is tons better than this film. I really do. Because GoldenEye has everything you'd want. And again, this film, people will say the action sequences. Okay. I didn't hate the action. I liked the action. I think for a big budget film, which when you get to bigger and bigger budgets, you get more and more CGI. And even back in 2006, they were trying to add more and more CGI to films. So this film, I can give it credit for that. Its action is very well done. The parkour chase near the beginning, there's the bathroom fight I wasn't huge on, not partly because the editing and the filter, they do like a black and white before Bond gets his colors. Ooh, symbolism. Yeah, Bond films need symbolism, huh? But then there's the tanker chase at the airport, and there's after the parkour bit, there's the bit running through the embassy and shooting guys, and at the end, I really like the one at the end where they're in the building that's slowly collapsing and filling with water. I liked that one. I thought that was very interesting. But yeah, there is a bit of an issue with the action. This film is edited by Stuart Baird. Now, if you don't know who that is, he is a pretty big legend in the editing world. He is a very well-renowned editor. I don't know if he worked on The Fugitive, but he did direct U.S. Marshals, the sequel. He directed Executive Decision with Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal, which I do like that film. I know there are people nowadays that are a bit torn on it, or just straight up hate it. I can understand the people that hate it, but I like it. I really do. I think it's kind of ridiculous, and I kind of like the tension. I think he also did Star Trek Nemesis, something like that. But he was mainly an editor, and the editing in this film isn't that great. I gotta say, it feels like the editing of a Bourne film, and that is one of the problems I see with this film, because I've heard people talk about the editing being great in the film, and I don't agree. I don't agree with this being one of the best Bond films for sure. Especially not the best, which is what Letterboxd is saying. The reviews on Letterboxd talking about, oh, this is the story of a man being stripped down to being less than a man because of losing his the one girl he thought he was gonna quit the job and be with. And I'm like, shut up. Like, yeah, he loses the girl. Mm-hmm. Also in the spy business, you have to sleep around. So even if he left the business, it's really hard to leave the three-letter agencies like that: MI6, CIA, FBI, NSA. What's the other one? SAS. It's very hard to leave those for sure. So they could have possibly done something to her anyway. So like it was kind of hopeless to begin with. And again, I don't know if I fully buy him and Vesper getting together. Even though, again, frickin' Eva Green plays the role pretty well. I just don't know if I buy it because I don't think that Craig has the charisma to play the James Bond character. I've seen him in other films where I liked him. He was good in... what was it? Road to Perdition. I liked him in Road to Perdition. I didn't mind him in Lara Croft Tomb Raider. I liked him in Cowboys and Aliens. I liked him in Golden Compass. I liked him in Renaissance, Paris 2054. But yeah, like, I don't hate him as an actor. Far from it. I do not hate him as an actor. I just don't think he fits this role. I don't think his style of acting works for this role, and he just comes off feeling very wooden. So, again, I don't really know too much more to say about this. I just don't... If people were just saying, oh, it's a good Bond film, I'd just be like, okay, I respectfully disagree. I think it's decent. I think it's fine for what it's trying to do. It's definitely overlong. It is 2 hours and 24 minutes. And this, Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die are around that time, except No Time to Die is almost 3 hours long, which... but, yeah. Let me get to the pros and cons. Pros, again, Eva Green, Judi Dench, Jeffrey Wright, Giancarlo Giannini. I'm fine with them. The action is well done, even if the editing is a bit slapdash at times, or it cuts way too much at certain points, especially during the parkour scene. Cuts way too much at times, and I really wish they had left it up to like some really cool long shots. I think it would have been cooler. They could have had inserts of Craig at certain times instead of like cutting between Craig and the stunt double so much. But I guess that was a relic of the time. Let's hope that they fix that between this and Quantum of Solace. Even though I've heard Quantum of Solace's editing is worse, we'll see. The music by... I keep forgetting who did the music. Shit. The music... okay, whatever. I think the card game scenes are done well enough to the point where they don't come off super boring. But I also think they could have been cut down a bit. Because, I mean, this film already feels a bit long, again. But yeah, I don't mind the card scenes. and the score by David Arnold. It was David Arnold because they changed the composers between this film and the next film. Um, the the score is fine. There are times where it feels a bit flat or a bit too modern, like uh, boring modern. Um, and the cons, Daniel Craig again as Bond. Other than a couple small moments where I think he fits the role well, he comes off way too serious. He comes off way too uptight in the role. Where Dalton had more of a, more of a half and half fun and serious to it that I think was really nice, and I wish he had gotten an extra film, or a third film, excuse me. Um, Again, I think the editing really does hamper the film in many points. The film is about 20 minutes too long, I feel. Because the entire end sequence feels like an epilogue. It feels like the film should have ended after Bond gets out of the hospital. And the ending felt kind of tagged on to just to add more action, which the action was well done, but it just does feel like it's added on, and it doesn't feel like it really needs to be there. I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but whatever. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts. I think the film is decent. I don't hate the film. I don't love the film. I think it's decent. I could have gotten much worse, but I, to be honest, enjoyed myself a bit. So I've got 4 films left after this, and 3 of them are over 2 hours and 20 minutes. So at least the next film is only like an hour and 45 minutes. It's the shortest Bond film of all of them. So curious to see if it flows a lot better. But if you like the review, comment down below, like the video, subscribe, and movie reviewer next door out.